going on, Stellar Crew? Bob MacArthur here for the May 2026 edition of In the Sky. I got my grab and go set up right here. It is May. You never know how weather's going to be, so it's nice to have that grab and go set up so you can get out for however long. You know, a little bit of time here and there. As long as you can get observing in, it's a great night. So my grab and go setup is my SVX90T. Love this thing. I got it on an M2C mount. I love this Alt-Az mount. If you're just getting out for a quick observing session, it's super easy to use. Love this thing. So there it is. I got it on a Los Mandy lightweight tripod. This is a solid grab and go setup. Now it is May. May is galaxy season. Galaxies everywhere. We're going to talk about that. Jupiter and Venus are looking great in the west. If you wait up long enough, we are starting to get some of those early summer objects. So let's get to it and talk about what we got going on in the sky. All right, let's talk about NEAF, the Northeast Astronomy Forum. Holy cow, it was so much fun. This was my first time at NEAF, so I kind of want to show you some pictures from it and talk about the experience. Well, here we are. This is the Stellarvue booth. It was great to be there, hanging out with Vic, John Talbot, Preston Smith, some of the Stellar crew, talking to people about the Stellarvue product. We had the 180. There's Vic with the SVX 180T. Amazing scope. We had some 130s there, 102. Just talking to people about, the Stellarvue product, getting people stoked about, being on the Stellar crew and using the product. It was also really great to meet some of you all, the Stellar crew. So thanks for stopping by the booth. We had a blast. It was actually fun because right across the way from us was were our friends from astrophysics. So we'd bounce back and forth and chat with them. That's one thing about this is the astronomy community is tight. It's friends, and we'll talk about that more as we go on. But oh my gosh, so we got to go to a sky telescope reception that Friday night, and it was pretty cool to be there because there were people from the astronomy community, people from the astronaut community. We actually got to watch Artemis II return back to Earth with Don Pettit, who's a NASA astronaut, and some other astronauts were there. It was awesome to see that. My boy Kevin Schindler from Lowell Observatory was there. And during that time, we got to meet a lot of people, make a lot of new friends. That's me with Michelle Fowler. She is a NASA research astronomer. She's worked on Hubble, James Webb. She's worked on the OSIRIS-REx mission, and she studied black holes and binary stars. So it was really fun to get to meet her and hear about her kind of background. She actually just talked to my students. She zoomed into my classroom and spent some time talking to my students. That was great. That's me with Jerry Griffin, who was the mission flight director for Apollo 15, 16, and 17. So that was pretty cool to sit with him and have dinner and kind of chat about his time doing the Apollo missions. And then that's Vic with Pran. Pran is amazing. She's done some wonderful things. She actually started from the ground up a whole astronomy program in Kosovo. Unbelievable. She also is big into public outreach and getting out to schools and sharing her passion of astronomy. And she's a research astronomer. She studies asteroids and spectra, and it was cool to get to meet her and kind of hear about her journey. So making new friends, that was fun. This is the NEAF showroom floor. It was overwhelming. I mean, we had people there selling meteorites. You had all the big telescope companies there. You had Celestron. You had Skywatcher. You had Astrophysics. You had ZWO. You had Dwarf Labs. You had Explore Scientific. You, of course, had Stellarvue. It was just, and Televue was there too. It was so great to actually talk to the people that work for the companies. My friends over at Woodland Hills Telescope and Camera were there. I love working with those folks. So it was just so great to see and meet. Oh my, Chroma. I mean, sorry, just keep going on and the list goes on. It was really great to meet the owners of the company and the people who worked for the company and get to talk about their experiences. And it was just really cool to have that there too. And it was hard for me because I had to bounce between being on the showroom floor and then seeing the talks. There were so many great talks. My friend Kevin Schindler from Lowell, he started the thing off talking about Robert Goddard and the history of Robert Goddard and rocket flight. It was great because Artemis 2 had just come back, and we had a bunch of other speakers that were there that were astronauts. So it was a great way to kick off the show. That's Hoot Gibson was there. He's flown on 5 shuttle missions. So it was great to hear about him and his experience in the shuttle program and working with NASA beyond the shuttle program. You had other astronauts too. I mean, Michelle Thaler, she was there. She's a research astronomer, so she did a phenomenal talk about, black holes and star formation. You had Anna Fisher there. She flew on the shuttle. She was the first mom in space. And like I mentioned, Don Pettit earlier, he's been on the International Space Station, flew on shuttle, flew on Soyuz. So it was great to hear about his experience and taking photos of the night sky from ISS. It was so trying to balance between the talks and being on the showroom floor was so hard. But it's also really cool to see how the industry is so connected. And this next picture, I think, does that well. The folks from Stellarvue and Astrophysics and Skywatcher dressed up as the Addams family, and they walked around the showroom floor on the last day of NEAF. And I heard that was a riot to see. So great job. See, again, it's a family. And the last night at NEAF, we saw that. All the people from a lot of the major telescope corporations got together. You had Los Mandi, you had Skywatcher, you had Celestron, you had Astrophysics, Takahashi, Prima Luce, Astronomy Magazine, and Sky and Telescope Magazine. You had, of course, Stellarvue there. It was just so cool to see people from the major telescope corporations get together and just hang out. It was just so good. You see Pran and then Kevin from Skywatcher. Kevin does a great job, by the way, with his What's Up webcast. So after you watch our webcast in the sky, swing over to Skywatcher. They do a great job over there too. Pran, she's got a great social media following, so check her out. It is just so great to see everybody come together and just hang out and talk about the industry and talk about how the industry's changed and where it's going. And it's this passion, this love that we have for astronomy, it's going strong. And I saw that so much for how excited everybody in the industry is about what's coming and where it's going and where we've been and how it keeps growing. And it was fun to share ideas and just share stories too. I sat down with Roland from Astrophysics and just heard about his time observing in Hawaii, and it was so good to hang out with the astronomy crew, because we are all one big family. You start seeing that when you go to star parties and your local community outreach. So get out there and check out NEAF if you ever get a chance. It was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to go to meet the astronomy family, to meet more of the stellar crew. And I came back so energized back to the classroom to where, I was talking about my experiences. Like I said, I had Michelle Thaler zoomed into my classroom. We've been talking to Pran about, public outreach, and Kevin from Skywatcher talking about public outreach. It was so good. And get out there, check it out. All right, Stellar Crew, let's get to it and talk about what we got going on in the sky for May 2026. Got a busy month. So we start out right away on May 3rd. The waning gibbous moon is rising with Antares in the eastern sky. Now, parts of South America will get to see the moon pass over Antares. We call that an occultation. So that's a cool opportunity for you guys down there. On May 6th, the Eta Aquariid meteor shower peaks. That's in the morning of May 6th. Now, we're going to have a pretty bright, almost relatively full moon. So a lot of those bright meteors will get through, but some of those fainter ones are going to be harder to see. On May 14th, the waning crescent moon sits between Mars and Saturn just before sunrise. So if you're looking over to the eastern sky before sunrise, you'll see Saturn, and you'll get the crescent moon, and you'll get Mars. So that'll be kind of a cool thing to check out. And then on May 18th, after sunset, Venus is hanging out with that waxing crescent moon. So check out that waxing crescent moon right there after sunset, right there with Venus. Oh, it's so exciting that Venus is up in the evening sky. I'm excited about that one. Now, on May 19th and 20th, we actually have the waxing crescent moon moving through Gemini, making a nice pairing, grouping with Venus, Jupiter, and then Castor and Pollux. So, Gemini is starting to set. It's been fun watching the moon and Jupiter through there all season long. But now we have Venus joining the show as Gemini sets. So check that out. On May 22nd, the near first quarter moon is going to be right there next to Regulus. That's the brightest star in Leo. So check that out. And on May 30th, we're ending the month where we started. We have the waxing gibbous moon pairing up with Antares again over there in the southeastern sky after sunset. So check that out. But what's really cool, on May 30th, 31st, depending on what hemisphere you're in, eastern or western hemisphere, what side of the international date line you're on, we will have another occultation of the moon and Antares. So check that out. So then the moon's pretty much full here. So you get that big, bright, almost full moon passing over Antares from Australia, New Zealand, all the way down into parts of South America. So check that out also. Speaking of the moon and all the solar system, we have a blue moon this month. Now, the blue moon is, there's a lot of definitions for what the blue moon is, but this month's blue moon is the second full moon in a calendar month. So, it doesn't happen very often because a lunar cycle is about 28 days, and you get about 30 or so days in a month. But this month, we have the full moon on the 1st of May, and we have the full moon on the 31st of May, giving us 2 full moons in 1 month. So there you go. Now, right smack in the middle, May 16th, that is your new moon. So get out there. That's your observing weekend. That's your dark sky weekend. So get out there. Hopefully the weather will cooperate for you. And there you go. So planets. Planets are kind of an interesting one right now. We're still hanging on to Jupiter over in the western sky. Like I said, it's getting lower with Gemini, but we do have Venus popping up, so check Venus out. Uranus and Neptune kind of lost in the sun's glare right now. We do have Mars and Saturn in the early morning sky, so Uranus is up in that area also. Pluto is up about the middle of the night because it's over there in between Capricornus and Sagittarius. So kind of a weird time for planets. We won't have a dominant planet in the sky other than Venus until the fall, and that'll be Saturn. So there we go. You want to see Saturn and Mars in the early morning. You want to see Jupiter and Venus in the early evening. So that's what we got going on for planets. Like I've said before, Stellarium and Sky Safari are great websites to use to know where the planets are in the night sky. They're also great tools to find out where the moons are around Jupiter and where the moons are around Saturn. The Sky and Telescope Astronomical Tools website is great for that too. So just Google that in there. If you want to know what comets are up or what asteroids are up, the Sky Live is great. The Sky Live is a great website to get on. It'll tell you where the planets are, their right ascension, declination, the magnitude of the minor planets, where the comets are. So check out that website for sure. We are still going with the sun. We're coming down, kind of on the downslope of solar maximum. So jump on spaceweather.com. They do such a great job with what activities on the sun with solar flares, solar prominences, sunspots. The National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration Space Weather website is another really good source telling you what geomagnetic storms are going on. So there's stuff going on. The moon is always a fun one to shoot. I mean, there's a shot that I got of the moon right there with my 152. We do still have some planets to check out, and the sun is still cracking. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to view the sun, make sure you have the proper white light filter that goes on the top of that telescope because we want to protect our eyes. If you need a filter for your telescope, call up Stellarvue. We'll help you out. We can guide you in the direction for those white light filters that go in front of your telescope. H-alpha telescopes are amazing. Next month is the summer solstice. I'm going to talk about solar telescopes. So H-alpha viewing, unbelievable. So tune in next month. It'll be fun. So let's talk about what we got going on for our deep sky objects. So star clusters. It's kind of a weird transition season. We are in galaxy season, so a lot of those wintertime constellations are, nope. If you wait up long enough, you start getting your summer stuff. But we do still have some of our wonderful spring clusters. M44, the Beehive, M67, the King Cobra. Both of those are in the constellation Cancer. Beautiful open star clusters. We'll have those for the month of May, so definitely check those out. I love the wide field view on those, but the seeing is good. Just zoom in, get in some magnification. I would love to see some images of these. If you are taking some shots, you got your rig out, shoot some shots of M44 and M67 and send them to us. I'd love to see them. We have a lot of globulars this time of year. So you have M3 up there in Canis Venatici. Actually, it's kind of M3 is an interesting one because it's kind of right smack in between Cor Caroli, a binary we're going to talk about, and the brightest star in Bodes, Arcturus. It's kind of right in between there. So that is a great one to look at. M5 is coming up also. That is one that's kind of squished in between Virgo and Serpens. And then we have M53. I think M53 gets overshadowed quite a bit. Jerry got a great shot of M53 right there because it's up there in Coma Berenices. Whenever we're up in Coma, we're always looking at the galaxies. So while you're up there in Coma looking at all your galaxies, imaging all those galaxies, swing on down and check out M53. It is a beautiful globular. And then you also have M68 down in Hydra, depending on your latitude. That one might be a little difficult, but that's a great one to get to. We also have C66, Caldwell Object 66, or NGC 5694, again down in Hydra. So we have a lot of globulars this time of year, so check that out. And depending on your latitude, check out Omega Centauri. Here at my latitude at about 39, 38 degrees north, it just barely pops above the horizon. I mean, we're talking a degree, right? But as you get further south, you can get it. I've got really good views of it in New Mexico. I've had really good views of it in Arizona. And then just further south you go. If you're in the southern hemisphere or near the equator, it's high up in the sky. I mean, Hawaii gets it pretty good too. It is a wonderful globular star cluster. So check that one out. John, wonderful image of Omega Centauri there. It's naked eye. So, if it's high enough, because if it's low enough in the sky, it gets kind of washed out by the muck. But I have seen it naked eye in New Mexico and Arizona, and of course, further south you go. So, yeah, globulars. There we go. Now, nebulas are also tricky this month because, like I said, we are in galaxy season, but we still have some really good planetary nebulas. So we have Caldwell Object 59, the ghost of Jupiter, down there in Hydra. We also have M97. I would probably say M97 is the bright kind of showcase planetary of the month. It's right off the bowl of the Big Dipper. So check that one out. You also have a nice little Messier galaxy there hanging out with it. So check out the Owl Nebula. It's actually bright. It's a really easy one to shoot. I've taken images of it with my 90. I've taken images of it with my 152. It is a fun one. Throw some O3 on there. Pop out that nebula, the white dwarf in the middle. Yeah, it is a really good planetary. So take some shots of it. We'd love to see it. Also, the Cat's Eye is up there. It's up there in Draco. That one's a little challenging because it's actually relatively small, but it's there. It's faint. I've seen some great images of it, so shoot that one. Have fun with it. You can get it. Aperture is really good on the Cat's Eye, but you get it. It looks like a little green ball right there. And we are starting to kind of tap into those summertime things. So depending on how late you stay up, imaging or whatever, we're starting to see some of those wonderful summertime objects coming up. Early in the evening, M57, the Ring Nebula. It's a bright planetary. It is a beautiful, beautiful planetary nebula. Again, throw some O3 on that white dwarf in the middle. Beautiful. It's a great object. We are starting to see the Blue Horsehead starting to rise. That's near Scorpius. So it's there coming up, later in the evening. You can kind of get some good data on it. And you know what? I threw the North American Nebula up there with the Cygnus Wall because I know you guys are just jonesing to get out there and get some images of the night sky and get those nebulas because we've been kind of in a little drought. So we do have Cygnus rising a little bit later in the evening. And with Cygnus comes all of those wonderful Milky Way nebula that we can can get. So I got a beautiful image of the North American. That's a composite image put together. That is just great shot there, James. And of course, the blue horse head right there from Kevin and his this SVX80. So great job. Geez, you guys are great at that. I look at your nebula pictures and I get jealous. All right, galaxies. I could go on and on and on and on. I almost went on and on and on last month, but we are still in the thick of galaxy season. So make sure you are out there. You're shooting, your LRGB, your luminance, your one color, your one-shot color cameras. I'm playing with my my ASI 585 MC on these. I'm having fun with it. It is just so many different galaxies, and depending on the field of view you have, you could get a wide field view of the Virgo cluster, maybe the Leo triplet, or you can get in there like Bob did on the Sunflower, or like Peter did on the Needle Galaxy. These are just great shots. And there you go. Have fun with imaging galaxies. I would love to see more galaxy shots. So please send them in to us so I can put them in our presentation and things like that. And you talk about all the wonderful images you guys are taking. So I just listed some of the highlights up there. I mean, you have Ursa Major and all the galaxies up there, M101, M81, M82, M108. I mean, there are just so many galaxies up there in Ursa Major. Same thing with Canis Venatici with M63, M94, M51. M51 is a weird one because it's actually right off the handle of the Big Dipper, but it's considered part of Canis Venatici. M106. I mean, there are just so many galaxies. I mentioned the Coma Berenices earlier with the Coma cluster and the globular, but there are so many up there. My personal favorite up there in Coma is the Needle Galaxy. Like I said, Peter got a great shot of that one there. So NGC 4565, the Needle Galaxy, check that one out. Then you swing on over to Leo. I mean, Leo's got fun little groups there. M95, M96. You have the Leo triplet, right? M65, M66, hanging out with the Hamburger Galaxy. Then you swing on over to Virgo. One galaxy I think sometimes we forget because we're up there playing in the Virgo cluster is M104, because M104 is kind of not there with all the mainstream galaxies in Virgo. M104 is the Sombrero Galaxy. So have fun with the Sombrero Galaxy. And then, with all those galaxies up there in Ursa Major and Canis Venatici and Coma and Leo and Virgo, whoo! We also have a few down south, like the Southern Pinwheel Galaxy, M83, and Hydra. And then, depending again on your latitude, you can get Centaurus A. Caldwell Object 77 or NGC 5128. I can get Centaurus A really nicely. I can't say really nicely because it's a lot higher than Omega Centauri. So try Centaurus A. That is a cool galaxy. And again, the further south you go, the higher it gets in the sky. So that's a cool, because you got the galaxy, the dust lane in the middle too. So there's so many galaxies. So whatever we're lacking in star clusters and nebula, we make up for it in galaxies for sure. All right, well, you know how I like to end the month. I love to talk about binaries, so let's get to it. Let me pull up my notes. Well, we have Algorab, Delta Corvus. This is a fun one. It's a great one to get. The separation is good. The magnitude difference is there. There's also a nice little color difference. So you have a white primary and a much fainter orangish secondary. So fun color, easy separation, but you do have that magnitude difference. I love IZAR. IZAR is one of my favorites, but it's also a challenging one. I get it about 60% of the time because it is a tight binary. So check this one out. Depending on your seeing, you'll be able to split it. So it's a nice tight pair. So the primary's got a nice rusty, bright color to it, while the secondary is a much fainter blue color. So it's a really nice one. Good test of optics, good test of seeing. And because they're tight, but you also get that really cool color difference with that orange, rusty, and that blue. So check that one out, and that's over there in Bodie's. So this is a new one for me, Aula Borealis. I have not seen this one before, and this is up in Ursa Major. So it was a really fun one to get. So it's a nice bright orange primary, and you have a close secondary with a yellow color. So check that one out. I like that, kind of orange and yellow. A lot of the binaries we look at, you either have the white or the blue, or you have a white and then an orange. But this one, you're getting that kind of orangish yellow. So check this one out. This one was fun for me this month. And then, I end it with Cor Caroli. I love this one. I mentioned it earlier. You have, while you're up there at Ursa Major and you're up there at Canis Venatici looking at all the galaxies, throw in an eyepiece. Check out Cor Caroli. This one is a good one. This one has a nice blue-white primary, and the secondary is a little yellow-white. Great separation, a little bit of a magnitude difference. So all of these are really fun to look at. I try to, like I say every month, I try and give you guys a good selection of, magnitude differences, color differences. So tell me what you think about these. Have fun. Binaries are great. I love finding new ones, and I like looking at, some ones that I always look at, like ISAR and Cor Caroli. So there you go. Have fun with those. So it is May. May can be a very challenging month for observing just because, it's thunderstorms and weather and things like that. So like I showed you at the beginning of the video with my grab and go setup with my SVX90T, sometimes that's the best thing. You might only get a little bit of clear skies, and maybe you have a grab and go imaging rig or a grab and go visual rig. Whatever you can do to get out for 30 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. May is fun because it is galaxy season. So getting some of those galaxies, getting some of that early summer stuff later in the evening. So it's a fun month. Summer is coming. The days are getting warmer and the nights are getting shorter. But anytime we can get out under the stars, let's just get out, right? It's just great to push yourself under the night sky and do what we really love and do what we really enjoy doing. So get out there, have fun, observe, and keep looking up.